This film was made by a group of us cons doing our bit at Swansea Prison. It's not been an easy film to make, but we've tried. Most of the prisoners in the prison took part. I hope it reflects, and I think it does reflect accurately what goes on here. I hope it does something to dispel the myth that prison is a holiday camp, because believe me, it isn't. This prison was built in 1848. It's a local jail, meant as a holding prison. Prisoners are not meant to spend a long time here, but they do. It's overcrowded and lacks the most basic of facilities. Nothing prepares you for your first day in prison.
When I first came in, I was down in the reception area, and I was shaking a lot, and I'd had a bad drinking problem when I was out there. I was afraid of doing harm to myself, like, more than anything. Because that's the way I felt. I felt really depressed and that. So I seen the doctor then, like. They gave me something for that night. I didn't do much good anyway, because they gave me a razor blade, and I broke the razor blade and thought, oh, like, I can't go through this, like, all this worry. I cut both my wrists, and I had bandages in both up and that. And I was needing no food. I didn't touch a drop of food or water, anything like that. My stomach was all turning over, I couldn't eat nothing, because I was worried too much, like.
You just have to cope. There's no other way. If you don't cope, you break. And if you break, that's where you end up with people trying to hang themselves or whatever. So you have to cope. And you just have to do whatever they tell you. You have to live in the conditions what they tell you. So there's nothing else. There's no way you can do anything.
You're standing under there on the camera.
When I wake up in the morning, my first thoughts are, oh God, I'm here again. Because when I go to bed the night before, I think to myself, one morning when I wake up, I won't wake up here. But unfortunately, so far I still have. And then the day carries on, as per normal, same boring old routine. Off to the recess, fight my way to the sluices, do everything, get a bowl of water, get jugs of water, have a shave, try and get everything done before breakfast is shouted. Then you've usually got about 5 or 6 minutes in order to wash, shave, do everything, and rinse the buckets and re-rinse the bowls after washing and so forth. I can just imagine the same routine has been going on since the prison was built.
Go on, Billy. Hey, come on, boy. Wait. Do the fucking morning.
I'm allowed one change of clothes and underwear a week. When everything is done out of a bowl, and you wash out of a bowl, you have a shower once a week, so therefore, somewhere during the week you have to, wash under your armpits. And it's just, there is no room in the cells for 2 or 3 people. Everybody trying to do everything at the same time. It's not the best way to start the day.
As soon as that door opens, you've got to get out there, slop out. Otherwise, it's a case of straight down for breakfast and no slop out, and you've got all the filth left in the cell from the night before. You use slop bucket, which obviously contains what you've had to do during the night. So you just get on with it. You wake up. You don't particularly feel like waking up, but yet again, you've got to. Otherwise, you don't get your food.
fucking stink first thing in the morning.
The stink is the worst. That is something you can never forget. The smell. In fact, I wonder if you can never get it off you, know, when you do get out.
I mean, nobody lives outside like we have to live in here. The judge never says anything about you being condemned to squalor when he sends you to prison. You know, I thought that prison was meant to be sort of rehabilitation and, you know, give you a direction for when you got out, but, you know, they just treat you like animals.
Any more, Wayne? Any more, Colin?
Just want clean facilities. We'd rather have more than one shower a week. We'd rather have recesses that they're not swimming in whatever they're swimming in the mornings. More extractor fans, bigger extractor fans, just more recesses, bigger. There's just nothing here, nothing whatsoever.
Sorry? Yeah, well, that's typical of the vicar, isn't it? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, application for this, application for that. It's like half the time I forget what application I need to apply for.
See me before tea time, okay?
Right, John.
Thanks.
Like first thing in the morning, they've got you where they want you, because you've got to apply for your applications, your weekly letters, your VOs. So you know we've got to get you up at that time in the morning. So saying that, it also is a high rate of tension at that time in the morning and all, like, because a lot of boys don't particularly want to get up. They've got to rush to the recess, so you've got one sink between 60 adults, really, to slop out, which is disgusting. And they expect us to act like adults, but they treat us like children, which we're not.
They don't give a damn once we're locked up behind these doors. We're not supposed to be people, we're just numbers to them. We're not supposed to have any feelings. The routine never changes. Slop out, food, bang up 3 times a day. And I don't blame the officers, it's the system.
It's one against the system, and between the pair of us, we've had 1 or 2 against the system.
We just got to carry it from day to day, like, you know, we live from day to day fiddling. Like. If there's a fiddle about, we knows about it, like.
We do the bird as easy as we can. There's easier ways, there's easy ways and there's hard ways. We've just been lucky to find the easy ways.
Well, there's fiddles in the kitchen. That's where all the wheeling and dealing is done, is in the kitchen, like, you know what I mean? Order supper or whatever, like. Sugar, tea, milk, coffee, yogurts. I got a yogurt on the table there now. And chickens. Anything. You can get anything from the kitchen if you want, like. I used to work in the kitchen anyway. I got sacked for fiddling, like. I just managed to get caught, like. I was unlucky. I got caught with a tin of corned beef and I had a sack and I lost 14 days for that.
Well, that's my job. I don't do it. Somebody else does it for me. If I can get somebody else to do it for me, I'll get somebody else to do it for me. I'm a lazy bastard. All shops, let's have you. Go on, lead on.
Well, at the moment I'm making coin bags. I'm not sure what they're for, except for coins. The job itself is boring, repetitive, and really is only a reason for us to be out of ourselves.
Repetitious, boring, poor way to spend your time, really. In order to earn the top pay, you have to do 24 complete mail bags per day. And the top pay is £3.50 per week. But I mean, you could get out of your cell and do something a little bit more rewarding than this, I should think.
just like to cause a mess, like, you know what I mean? Because they got nothing else to do, they're bored. And they usually chuck it through the windows to watch us sweeping it up in the day, like. I think, anyway. Everybody calls it a shit parcel job or whatever, like. But we don't come across many shit parcels, like. It's only these YOs that does it.
Don't be shy. There's no such thing as rehabilitation in this prison. It's just confinement and containment. You do your bird, they let you out. It's just a ridiculous situation. I'm not better for having been in here.
I mean, the judge said to me, society has got to be protected from your presence. Well, it'll be protected from my presence for the sentence. What's good it does, I don't know. I really don't know.
I've been inside now nearly 15 years, and different things happen. Obviously, as the years go by, you start to come back to life, but it's like as if your heart is taken out to start with, you know. You feel dead inside you. Brain dead as well, I think. The first couple of years are used for assessment, and you don't know quite what's happening.
Yes, I want to go back to Cardiff.
You're constantly assessing yourself and trying to look through the eyes of an officer to see what he's seeing, you know. You don't feel yourself. Most of the time you feel like that you're under a microscope in a laboratory or something like that, you know. It's a very strange feeling. You know, I can lie down on a bed and I can dream about the outside as if I'd just come in yesterday. And there are some people that have done as long as I have, and, you know, they lose in this and gradually fall into bits. And, you know, I sympathise with them. I think it's a matter of when you get through so many years, you start occupying your mind, and then you can say, well, there's 6 years done, or 7 years done, and, you know, you start the countdown then to when you will be back in the normal world.
A lot of tension is created by having nonsense, that's sex offenders and the like, in the same prison. We know they're there. They should have their own prison and not be with us.
Well, Rule 43 is mainly a sex offenders block. You don't mix with other prisoners, like people that break, pinch, rob cars or anything like that. You know, we're not on the same category as them. It's different. It's a different offence. And you're just shut off from the rest. I mean, you're on your own block.
There have been a few up here, like sex offenders. And word has come to our attention that they're nonces. We get told by certain people. And he's a nonce, he's in for child molesting or whatever, like. Yeah, they falls over the landing and or gets his head fucking smashed in there. That's the end of him. He goes downstairs on 43 then. Screws ask you, ask him what happened. He say, "Oh, Colin beat me up." But they knows what goes on. He just turns a blind eye. I mean, if he says, "Oh, we didn't see it," well, there's nothing they can do about it, like.
If they're not there at the time, there's nothing they can do, is there?
I mean, the Colin can't say he beat me up or he hit me with a fucking iron bar, because he didn't see it. Like, they're not going to believe it. Like, they say, "Oh, he fell out the bed," or "He fell off the fucking landing." Like.
This is the worst jail sentence you could ever have, is a sex offender. You locked in when I first come to prison, 23 and a half hours a day, sir. And believe you me, I broke my heart being stuck behind the door for that much, sir. That's all you had to do was slop out, and then again occasionally you might go out for a walkabout. They call it on exercise, but it wasn't very rarely when I first come. But as the months have been going on, I've done about 10 months now, sir. The last 4 months, we've been going to Shop 5, where we make mail bags and so on. So that helps a bit. When we first came in here, sir, well, we feel very ashamed and everything, and we've hurt our family and kids and so forth, sir. When the prisoners go to bed, one or two of us usually in the night, we start to cry, and I suppose you must think of the sentence and our family and everything and what's happened. And, you know, it really cuts us up with people on the outside. I think they must call us some things like, well, I don't know exactly what to say, like, but we're the same as anybody else. It's just that we've committed this offence, but it's not something that we enjoyed getting into. I mean, we've hurt so many people, and, well, that's all I can say, really. But it's, you know, we're very ashamed about it, like. Well, I mean, I'm talking for myself, but a lot of the prisoners on this rule, they don't like mentioning the case at all. They never talk about the case, and we never ask them. If they wanted to speak to you and tell you about them, they'll do it. But if they don't ask, but if they don't tell you, don't ask, because they won't say.
Ah, go on.
Got knocked down here because of my offence, because I had a bit of hassle with some of the lads, and I'm not a violent bloke, so it was easier for me to come on 43, and it's the worst mistake I ever made, and I wish I'd, stayed up there and had a punch-up type of thing, If that does happen, you'll get nicked anyway for fighting. I've had that in the past. I was at Dartmoor on 43. I spent the last 11 months of a 5-year sentence on 43. And I had a bit of hassle with the lads, that's why I ended up on 43. And the governor said, oh, you don't need to be on 43 and that. He said, we're sending you to Shepton Mallet. So I said, well, you can't send me there because the bloke that caused the hassle had friends there. But he wouldn't have it. He said, you're just trying to pull a fast one. So he shipped me out of Dartmoor to Exeter, and I was there for a couple of weeks, and they said, you're going to Shepton Mallet. I said, we can't. I told them there, you can't send me there. They wouldn't have it. So I went to Shepton Mallet. I was there on the induction wing for a week. I went on the main wing. I was there for 2 days, and 3 lads come in my cell and done me over. And I had to go to the outside hospital to have x-rays and all that type of thing. And the Home Office was obviously involved, and I tried to take the governor to court over it because in my mind he put me in jeopardy, when he knew, because I told him on application that what would happen. So I got done over because he was negligent in his job. Didn't get nowhere there.
You've got decent cons that's out in that wing now, right? They can't get parole. But them fucking perverts down here go and they get it every time. And you've got other guys that can't get it. They haven't done anything so bad as what they've done.
Like my mate there now, he got knocked back for parole, 3 months. He was a sex offender down there. The other day he had parole and he saved 15 months. And he's in for raping his own daughters. And I just don't believe it, like. They're animals as far as I'm concerned. Well, you can't call them animals because half the time we wouldn't treat an animal the way they treat the kids, like. I got a daughter of my own, like. I swear to God, if anyone touched one of my kids, I'd do life. You wouldn't get to court. I'd kill the bastard, like.
They shouldn't be allowed in the same prison as a decent con. Most of your average cons in here are only trying to make ends meet. You know what I mean? You're talking about these people are going out and deliberately damaging a young kid's life. You've got a kid that has done nothing, hasn't asked to be interfered with in any way, right? And you've got one of them grabs hold of him and you don't know what the hell they're doing to him. And then they come in here and get him protection. I think it's up to the courts to make sure that they don't get back on the street.
Since you boys have been there, the grub has improved.
Very funny. We don't have it when there's no beer.
The 4th floor landing is my world. I am not allowed off it except for 5 minutes to collect my food or on the few occasions when I'm allowed to go to work. It's lunchtime. There is no dining area. I eat off a tin tray balanced on my knees. Nothing changes in this routine. That also goes for the food. It's like the worst school dinner you can ever imagine. It never changes week by week, day by day. They say it costs 80p a day to feed us.
we don't think we get food like this all the time, mind you. We get, well, it's not quite as good as this. I think it's put on for the camera's show, really. Last Friday we had fish and chips. Well, usually we have fish and chips on a Friday, but we also had a choice this week of ham, which we don't normally have. So I think the food has just been improved slightly just for the camera's benefit.
The landings are getting worse. Nothing is getting better. On B Wing, where the remand prisoners are kept, the tension is almost unreal. There are men accused of the most trivial offences waiting to go to court. People in for non-payment of maintenance. People in for fines. People in for the most stupid things. Usually things which are a cry of help in themselves. And things like shoplifting and things like that. I mean, really, there must be a better alternative than bringing them in here.
Just come straight off the street, into here, till I could be on for another 2 or 3 months, till I go to Crown Court. I get sentenced there, then all depends. I could get off, or I could end up coming back in here, doing whatever they're going to sentence me to.
Well, I think remand for most prisoners is the worst time of the sentence. One day you can be with your family, home, 5 o'clock in the morning, in comes the door, sledgehammers. No matter what they want you for, the days of the old policeman coming to the front door, knocking on the door saying, "Can you come down the station?" they're gone. And it's really no different than being kidnapped off the street. You take you down the police station, they took my clothes off me, give me a paper suit, nothing on my feet, just literally a paper suit. I was in that paper suit for 4 days. Then the magistrates, they remand you to prison. You go through that gate, it gives you the creeps. Then you go through all the stripping off, the stripping of your identity, of giving you a number and a name. You've got people around you you've never seen before, you don't know. They slap some cold food in front of you and give you a few blankets, and everybody gets the impression that you're supposed to know what to do. And you don't, half of them don't know what to do. They're just lost. It's just lost.
Good view of this.
Innocent till proven guilty. Constitution of this country.
It is a shithole. 3 people in a single man cell. You can see the conditions we're living in. Right, and I say on remand, it's unfair. You're banged up a bit more than I think you should be. You're treated as a criminal and not as an innocent bystander or whatever. As a convicted prisoner, you have different conditions, but I think they're slightly better off than us. As we're on remand, I think it's a bit unfair somehow.
I've been in the cell for 5.5 months. 3 of us in the same cell, overcrowded, and we still don't even know when we're going to court. We've had no fixed date, so we could be here for another 6-7 weeks before we even go for trial.
We've got 1 bucket between 3 of us. Pointless cleaning the cell up. We've got no disinfectant for the bucket when we pee in and all that.
They are overcrowded. 3 people in a room this size. Look at it. Nothing, is it? Okay, I'm here on my own because I tried to escape, so they put me in this special cell. They've spent like £6,000, £7,000, £8,000 on this one room. And they still haven't put a sink and toilet in. You can't do anything, see, on remand. You can't do anything. You can't make a phone call. You can make a phone call to your solicitor. There's a prison officer listening in. Your letters are censored. You can't go out and see nobody. You sit there, you get frustrated.
For the remands, it's worse because they don't know how long they've got to be in prison. They used to have privileges whereby they could have food brought in from outside and drinks and so forth, so that at least they had the feeling that they were still treated as innocent people until they were proven guilty. But as it is in prisons in general, and this one as well, they're treated the same as we are. In fact, they're treated worse because they don't get out of their cell as many hours a day as we do. And that should be the reverse, really. I mean, it's us that are convicted, so us that are being punished. And yet they're the ones who are supposed to be innocent until proven guilty, and yet they get worse treatment than we do. The one way a lot of people in prison cope with, especially the long nights and the long bang-ups, is the use of drugs.
When I first come in, he started me on a course of tablets. Tablets he was giving me my mouth dry and I didn't know what I was saying on them half time. When my wife was come down to visit, she used to say to me, well, what are you saying these things for? And I said, oh, I'm on these tablets off the doctor, he'd give me them. And she said, what are you taking them for you making you like this? Because I was doped up, didn't know what I was half the time. So there's a lot of people in here that take tablets, but there's a lot of people that don't take them, they just save them and sell them out for other things like dope and things like that. Everywhere where I live, there's no drugs, nothing like that about there, what I've ever seen anyway. I never seen a bit of cannabis till I come in prison. That's the only time I've seen it. I think there's more in prison than it is out there.
I've had loads of drugs, like. I don't take drugs myself, I've had loads of drugs, and then I pass on as another fiddler.
The situation in this jail is much the same as it is in any other jail. It's mainly confined to cannabis. You don't really see a lot of hard drugs in these jails because the surroundings are not conducive to hard drug use. That means constant supply. It's used to rob the government of a day in prison because when you're stoned, you're not aware of your surroundings. All is well with the world. It's not easy for the screws to catch you with cannabis if you're careful, because they can't get to you before you can swallow it. If you don't flaunt it and don't openly broadcast the fact that you do smoke dope, then you tend to get left alone anyway. A favourite for passing dope around the prison is after bang-up at night, with a line from the windows. Gets passed from cell to cell. You can get all the way around the nick that way. I have seen parcels go from one end of the nick right around the building.
The only real way that the system has of controlling us is by the dual use of the two carrots, I call them. One remission and the other one parole.
Parole was doing me. Me and my wife was both expecting it to go. Everything going for me. Seemed to have stopped my drink problem, and on the out I would have 10-day AA meetings as well. Gone to a local church and everything. Got a house now up in Hilltop, away from the area I was living, but a couple of days ago they gave me a call up, the governor's call up, and they told me that they considered my parole, but they don't think I'm fit to have it, like, be granted it. So now I've got to start the sentence all over again. I haven't been able to eat tidy the last couple of days since they told me.
The parole system is 6 months behind across the board for long-term prisoners. So my position is now that I will not get a parole answer until after my parole date has been and gone. Now, in order to get parole, one of the things that you must have is a job to go to, or one of the things that is beneficial, you know, and would help towards you getting parole is a job to go to. So I've got a job to go to. I've got an employer who knows the situation. He knows my parole date. He's agreed to take me on. Now, he was told, and which is what is supposed to be the case, that he would be told 4 to 6 weeks before the parole date whether or not I'd be available to take that job, if or not I got parole. Now, because they're not going to tell me whether or not I'm getting parole until after the date has passed, then I'm now in a position whereby I'm mucking that man about, the man who's giving me a job, because I can't tell him whether I'm going to be there or not. So it's just stupid. I mean, that man is not going to think too highly of me, even though I've told him the situation.
Correct me if I'm wrong, you're saying first of all that you've become a born-again Christian and you attend church service regularly, and Father Damon's confirmed that. You've also moved away from the environment which was causing you to commit all these crimes. Is that right?
Yeah.
Did you go to AA before you came in here?
No, I never knew about that.
The thing with the parole thing is because it's all late, it's on your mind every day. You exhaust the system for trying to find out whether or not they're going to tell you beforehand. Nobody says anything. Nobody says anything.
And that's all I want to do is get with my wife and children, settle down and bring them up.
But you know the date in May you've been given, that's only a guide.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean to say that if granted parole, that's when you go out.
I've been up for parole on previous occasions and they've turned me down, but this time I was expecting it. I was told by the staff, members of staff here, that I should expect it. Unofficially, I was told. But come the final day, it turned out. It's easy enough for us blokes in here. It's what's left outside that's hurting. We are hurting because of the people outside are hurting. It's easy enough for us to do it.
I survive, and there's no problems at all. Like, the problem I got is not seeing my family, not being with my family when I should be with them. Like. And the difficulty I had is I haven't seen my daughter since I've been here. I've seen her once since I've been here. It was the second day I come in, like, and I had a visit. At the end of the visit, she was a bit upset going, like, because I was staying. And we decided there and then not to have my daughter down again. Like, I just have to persevere it, like it out, like. And that's, I miss her terribly. Like.
My family means everything to me because they've stuck by me, they've kept me together, they've been my strength. My family has been the reason for me doing my bird, as they call it, behind the door and making sure that I don't get into any situations where I could lose remission.
Well, sent you there to the day with a bit of bargain, isn't it? I'll call it. Baby. I had a call up yesterday for the governors and he's phoned me that they won't be granting me my parole. They got to stay here another 10 months, 9 months, whatever.
I wait for you, wait long enough now anyway.
It's going to be a long drag, innit? Another 10 months, it means I've got to do my sentence all over again. How are you going to manage, you know, up in our house, you know? Because I don't mind about not back on it so much, I'm just going to be worried about you. How are you going to cope, like? So when you have no one to help out with the children or nothing, so you don't know no one up there.
No, I don't.
How are you going to manage?
Manage when I manage that to know.
So the council officer read to you, if Mrs. Pierce said to you, if I could come home, they won't give you an house. With visits, you can only get to see your family every 28 days. You're supposed to have half hour on a visit, but sometimes they'll give you a bit longer if you're convicted prisoners. And the most I've had is an hour. It's about it. It's not enough time really to say what you want to say, like, you know. So both feel upset. And it's hard then when you got to come from the visit. She'd go that way, I'd go this way. I'd come back myself and break my heart thinking about it and all, like, it's really hard.
I can be if I want to be shy.
Oh, I'm sure you can if you want to be. I'm brilliant. Oh yeah,
What's this for? You're giving me hugs for something now. Come
Please, may I go to Pendine first week of June this year?
on. Please, may you go to... Please, may you go.
Please.
Yes.
The prison system is always not geared at all to helping prisoners stay with their families. The only thing you get is a visit one a month. I've only had one visit per month since I've been in. That's 31 months. It's just not enough. I mean, I happen to be lucky that my family have stuck by me, but the majority of cases, families don't stick by long-term programs.
Budget. The programme's on a budget, right? So therefore...
This country is way behind in the way it treats its prisoners abroad. You can have conjugal visits, you can have certainly more visits and longer visits, and in special rooms where you can have privacy. There is no privacy on visits, even in this prison, which the visiting room in this prison is better than some.
The minimum amount of claims for travel expenses.
I think in some ways it's maybe more of a punishment on the children than on anybody else. I mean, they see their father for half an hour once a month, and that isn't, I mean, that's almost inhuman to do to a family. I mean, you see them for half an hour, and it's just not long enough to keep a family together. I mean, you only get phone calls when emergencies happen. I mean, I sat there while the riots were going on in Bristol, and I watched people throwing blankets out of the window on fire, and I couldn't even get through to the prison. And I just sat there all night just watching all this, and then first thing in the morning the riot squad go in. And I mean, you don't have an absolute clue what's happening. I mean, you know, your husband's inside there and you just don't know what's happening to him, and it was awful. And then sort of they allowed him to phone, I think it was 4 o'clock in the afternoon, so I'd been almost 24 hours and I didn't know whether my husband was dead or alive. I mean, and it was awful.
Whatever you do, you have a visit, you know, you put your arm around your wife in a visiting room, and the prison officer's on top of you like hell. He's saying, you know, go on, get apart, like, because he obviously thinks you're trying to smuggle some gear in, like. But it's just crazy, and then it upsets the woman, because she says, you know, she tried to hold her hand. That's okay, as long as it's on the table. You know, but it's also, it's not us that's being tortured, it's them. Like, and as for letters, it's not only our letters that's being read, it's also their letters coming into the prison. Which is, I don't see there's any need to read the letters, because people know what it's like in prison. You know, some people don't want to believe it, because they think, you know, well, they've done the crime, let them do the time.
It's hard to come to terms with the fact that all your mail is read, whether it be outgoing or incoming. It takes a while to get over that, and to try and ignore it, although I don't think that you ever do, really. You still mask things that you wish to say in a letter.
784, is it?
Good God, somebody loves me.
No one loves me, though.
Somebody loves me.
Alpine's gravel. Let's go.
I was very sorry you was in prison.
And I am. I'm sorry you were in prison, mate.
You're not even allowed to have your John in privacy. You know, like, these letters are censored. You have your letter. They don't just hand it to you. You go into the office and the welfare is there, or the chaplain is there, and he says, you know, I have some bad news for you. As soon as you see the letter there, you know it's bad news. You know, he hasn't got to tell you. You know the worst has happened. You know, you don't want to believe it, but you know it's there in the letter. And he just says, your wife has decided that she can't go on with you anymore. He puts it nicely, fair play to him, but not as nice as it's put in the letter sometimes. And he just says, you know, that's it. He asks her then, do you feel all right? You're not going to do anything silly? And you just say no, like, and that time I was in the block, and they just put me back in the block, like, and left me alone. So I just rebelled and completely against the system. I didn't eat for it was 14 days. And it wasn't the case I went on hunger strike or anything. It was the case I didn't want to eat. So they chucked me in the padded cell, in the strip cell over the hospital. They said I was on hunger strike. But I wasn't. That was just the case that I didn't want to eat because I was so upset. You know. When I finally was released from prison shortly after Christmas on that sentence, I was discharged with a discharge grant, which wasn't much. But I went straight to DHS, got money off them, went and got drunk, and accumulated some tablets, and went down to Mumble's Head and took an overdose. And then I ended up in a psychiatric hospital for 5 months. You know, but that was thought before I left the prison. That was on my mind before I actually left the prison, because everything had been taken away from me. You know, some prisoners can just accept the Dear John. And they say, you haven't been in prison unless you've had a Dear John.
Suicide in prisons, I've seen it a few times now. I saw one person starve himself to death on the wing, and the schools watched it happen. This is true. I saw the man starve himself to death. It's a lifer. If you drift, you know, it just happens. And then if it does happen, then you get other people then who have become so depressed by the fact that someone else has done it. And I don't know whether it's a seed that's sown in them or what, but it can spread. Suicide can spread. You know, you get other people attempting to do the same thing because maybe they're in a depressed state, and that will sow the seed in their heads, you know, and then they may attempt or whatever.
Good night. I never imagined how it could be. Somebody take away my liberty. Locked up all day, you go nowhere. I tell you, man, it just ain't fair. I never thought I'd live to see the day. Man turns round, says he's going to make me pay. He'll tell me I'm really so bad. I tell you, man, it make me sad. I never thought I'd feel the pain in my soul when they threw me in this dirty, rotten hole. The food's so bad I wouldn't give a dog. I tell you, man, I'm living in a fog. I never imagined I'd be stripped to the bone. What's even worse, I ain't on the phone. I look around my room, it's really bare. I tell you, man, I just don't care.
There are a lot of things in here, the privacy, the sanitary things. Basically, you have to blank them out, because if you thought about them all the time, you'd just end up gaga, really. You would. You just have to live with it as it is, basically, and it's very difficult. But the only way I do it is I just don't think about it. I just try not to think about any of it, really.
Threes.
In the evenings, you have a few choices in this prison. You could go to classes, some of association. Most of us are banged up from 4:30, and all of us by 8:30. I read one of the 6 books that I'm allowed to keep in my cell, or listen to one of the 6 tapes that I'm allowed to, on my government-approved mini cassette player, or I listen to the radio, also government-approved, because you're only allowed 2 wave bands. For each of us locked up in our little cells, we have to get through the night in the best way that we can.
And we just sit there and you're talking about our families, talking about my daughter, and or playing cards, like.
Anything to pass the time.
Or eating out supper. It's a long time bound up. I mean, you're locked in this little room, you're like, you can't go nowhere, you can't even move in here, like, it's just a small cell, like. And it's too small for 2 people, like. It's supposed to be all single cells, is there? We're really lucky, we are. We 2'd up, we've got some here, 3 and 4'd up, like. 4 of them in a cell, sharing a piss bucket between 4 of them, like. It's disgusting, I reckon. It's inhuman.
My bitch.
But you're in a system, really, where the whole thing just doesn't work, you know. The whole regime of rehabilitation or anything, there's no such thing in this. So I think the whole thing needs to be re-looked at to make it work. I mean, there must be a better thing than this.
They come up into your cell at 8:30, they bang the door and I sit until 6:30 the next morning. And that's all I had to do really is, well, the letters I got from my wife, I'd read them every week, pass time away, all of them. I spend a lot of time reading the Bible. I don't read any other book because I can't get into any other book, only the Bible I do read, you know. I read that for a couple of hours. And I lie on the bed sometimes, I feel restless, I can't sleep because I got a lot on my mind. My wife was happening out there and how she's coping and that. And just pray that I don't get any bad news or anything like that, you know. That'd worry me a lot, just because I heard anything bad, something that happened at home. My wife can't read or write all that good, so I don't get many letters from her. So that'd worry me a lot as well. I don't get letters from nowhere else. Just the letters I do have from my wife. That's it. I get into bed and I'd wake up most of the time, about 3 or 4 times in the night, rolling a fag, disturb my cellmate then, every time. I just can't help it, I always wake up and I guess it's because I got too much on my mind. In the morning then, I get up automatic about 6:15. I stumble out of bed, get a drop of water and think it's another day to spend in hell. Cracks me up.
It's a difficult job in a difficult situation, often misunderstood and misrepresented by everybody. People are quick to jump on the sensational aspects of the job, but never ask the opinions and feelings of those involved.
I received a phone call from the night patrol that he was observing a figure at the window. The cell was in darkness and he felt that he was hanging. The actual blanket which he'd used was so tight around his neck with a knot just around about his right ear. We had to cut that off in order that we could give mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. We tried desperately I tried for a good five minutes. In the meantime, I'd already contacted control for them to get an ambulance in and the doctor. And I was giving him mouth-to-mouth, and the pressure that I was pushing down into his lungs made the fluid that had collected from the stomach or whatever just come straight back up and into my mouth, and that taste I will always remember to this day. It was unbelievable. And we gave him heart massage, we tried everything until the doctor came into the prison and he pronounced him dead. But the main thing about that one was that the lad concerned was only 19. And when you see somebody hanging there that's dead, I mean, members of the public don't see this type of thing. It's only people within these walls that we have to contend with this type of incident.
This unfortunate person, he decided to take his life on spur of the moment. There's nothing we can do to cater for that, other than put an officer outside the cell door 24 hours a day. You never see this type of thing, all right, about the inmates' conditions that they have to live in. the toilets and things like this. You never see that front page. Nobody cared about the officer who was distraught after this traumatic experience. And in fact, the officer in this instant was very shocked, very upset. Nobody cared. Nobody cared. Papers don't care. The newspapers, the media, TV don't care. You never hear their side of the story. I think that those people not directly involved in the prison service seem to misunderstand much of the work that we have to do and how it affects both us and the inmates. After all, we do spend a lot of time together within these walls. As far as the public are concerned, I think it's out of sight, out of mind. But someone has to take care of them. Are you ready, Miss Hadji? Thank you very much.
7:35 breakfast.
I don't think people sit down and think, oh, goodness me, what am I going to face today? But there certainly is an element of uncertainty in almost everything we do. And as you say, most of the incidents we have arise out of something that's so trivial. It's almost as if it's a straw that breaks the camel's back and somebody says, I'm not eating this muck, or I'm not putting up with this stupid rule, or your attitude is wrong, or so on. And then something just goes wrong.
Prison officers can be working anywhere inside. We might be on escort duty, taking remand prisoners to court. We might be in the hospital wing. I normally work in the young offender wing. But I could be working with convicted men on A wing or down 01 in the segregation unit, where people like sex offenders are kept.
Rise and shine, fingers. Morning. Rise and shine.
We got a number of prisoners down here who are on what we call Rule 43, and they ask for protection for a variety of reasons, and they're entitled to. They must be treated the same as all other prisoners. They have the same entitlement as other prisoners. We make sure they get it. We must treat them as individuals. Well, they're not liked by the other inmates within establishments. They are looked on in a bad light. But there again, they ask for protection, and that is part of our job to make sure they get the protection. I suppose it's always in the back of our mind, the offences they have committed, but as an officer, you've got to put these to the back of your mind and try not to think about them, so that you can be unbiased to the type of treatment that they should be having.
A-wing is our main area for convicted men. On each landing, 2 officers are responsible for upwards of 60 inmates. Inevitably, they're put in a vulnerable position, especially if the inmates wish to cause any aggro. Then there's only 2 officers on that landing to deal with that situation.
When you open a cell door for the first time in the day, at Swansea we're talking about between 7:45 and 8 o'clock in the morning, often there's no real way of knowing what has gone on in that cell during the evening and night. And I'm not talking about anything sinister. It may be that they just, the 2 occupants of the cell have fallen out, or and they're not speaking to each other, and they're going to vent their sort of anger on the first face that comes to the door, or somebody might have had a bad letter the day before and he's been worrying about it all night, and then you open the door and confronted by someone in floods of tears. Or he's had a dear John the day before and he opens the door and he wants to kill everybody in the place. These feelings rarely last very long, but there are certainly a lot of things you can be confronted with when you open a cell door, and not all of them are pleasant.
The slopping out procedure in the morning is disgusting. It's disgusting both for inmates and staff alike. To queue up and use 2 toilets on a landing is, to say the least, is terrible. It's bad for the officer who has to stand there and supervise it and smell it. It's bad for the inmate who has to queue up and use the toilet. It's bad that he can't have a wash in the privacy of his own cell. It's bad that he cannot use a toilet in the privacy of his own cell. He has to use a pot
or ring a bell, and staff are constantly running upstairs to unlock inmates, if the staff are available, that is, to answer those bells in order that the inmates go to the toilet. You must appreciate at night it's impossible because we haven't got the staff on.
You know, we wanted him out and all. Oh, I filled in yesterday. A bad one.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
No, I was like,
I'll have a word afterwards.
Morning.
Will the phone for our plastering course?
Now, in the first slop out of the day, as well as guarding the prisoners, we have to take applications to see the doctor, to see the chaplain, to see the governor, applications for a visiting order. Whatever the prisoner wants, he has to ask formally, and a note of that is kept.
When was the last time you heard from your wife?
Well, 5 weeks ago.
And it's definitely over?
Yeah.
No chance of...
No.
And when did you get married?
September.
Bloody pudding. What do
I
you
put
want?
in for a divorce for this September, though.
Why? Why this September?
It's not worth going on, is it? I said that, didn't I? She wouldn't wait, was she? You know, another year, like.
I think we'll have a talk about this later on.
Right.
When are you discharged? 13th of April.
Can you come back first thing in the morning?
13th of April? When are you discharged? 13th of April?
No, you should have gone a fortnight ago.
Next month, right, May. They're holding you illegally?
30th of May, is it? Okay. You get one ready, Bill.
What's his name? The skill to be a prison officer is to let your own personal attitudes influence your performance as little as possible. That's the theory, anyway. Obviously, if I come in one morning and I've got a hangover or something like that, I want an easier time than if I'm bright as a button. Inmates' attitudes, because of course they can get up on the wrong side of the bed as well, except it's a bit more frustrating for them. Because an inmate comes out on the landing and an officer starts shouting at him, go and do this, go and do that. Because we've got to keep people moving fairly frequently because the jobs just won't get done. We can't afford to let people amble down the landings leisurely for breakfast. They've got to do it pretty quickly because there's so many people to feed.
It's only
Oh, I know that. You can go through the books, you can learn your law, you can learn the running of the prison, but I don't think any book can give you experience. You know, you learn to live with people. It's call it man management if you want, but you do learn to live with people. Everybody's got this impression of the warders and the convicts and all the rest of it, but it's not. In general, it's, you know, you're living with these people. I spend more time with these people than I do with my wife. It's simple as that.
Once the prisoners are locked up, the numbers are counted. Prison officers spend much of the day checking numbers and also the whereabouts of every inmate. Once the roll is correct, the prisoners can start their day. They can be let out of their cells in order they can go to classes, to their work, or to see the chaplain, or to the doctor, and so on.
The sick parade in the prison isn't quite the same as in a general practice. How did this offence arise? It sounds quite exciting.
70 officers came to the house to try and break in and I shot at them.
You shot at them?
Yeah, well, I didn't. I took the gun out to scare them. And the gun went off and caught one on the shoulder.
So you actually hit one of them with a shotgun pellets, I see. So you didn't expect to find yourself in here? You seem quite naturally upset about that. Yes? Have you ever been in a prison before? Have you ever had any offences, charges against you before?
No.
Do you have a family at home?
Yes.
So you must be worried about them too. How are you coping on the way? Reasonable. You do seem, very upset because of the circumstances, though. Would you prefer to come into the hospital for a day or two?
No, sir.
You'd rather mix with everybody else on the way? Okay. Well, if this sort of thing gets you down, and if you find yourself not able to sleep, or if you're getting upset beyond that which you can tolerate, just come down here in the morning. You can report sick any morning. We'll see you about it. Okay? All right. Thank you. The difficulty with small problems is that they can't be alleviated by discussion with the family. They don't have access to their normal friends. They can't go down the pub to talk to their pals and have a drink of alcohol as they normally do. They're isolated from all that and contained, of course, within the four walls. So minor physical problems become more important, and of course the psychological problems become even more pressing.
I'm a vegan, and the catering officers have refused to supply me with my vegan diet. I tried all the legal channels that I could to make complaints, and I was just being met with a brick wall all the time. So it got to the point where I was going to have to start making a stronger protest. In actual fact, what I did do was pour my food onto the floor and then refuse to go back into the cell.
An inmate, if he persists in pursuing an individual protest in an incorrect manner, he can cause all kinds of havoc because the system doesn't work like that. If he receives individual treatment, all the other inmates will want that kind of treatment. If a prisoner has a grievance, there are official channels where he can register that protest.
Right, Padgett. Afternoon, Padgett. All right? Okay. Anything you want to ask about?
What I would like to ask you is, this morning on the hearing,
Yes.
you made a great point of explaining the letter which the governor sent to my solicitor.
On the Board of Visitors, yes.
Yet there was no mention at all of the letter which my solicitor sent to the governor, stating that he himself knew I'd been a vegan for a number of years. There was no mention at all made of that.
I could only record the information that is available to me in your record.
Right.
I quoted that information.
As Senior Officer Lewis will tell you, yesterday I did ask for both the letter from the governor and my solicitor to be made available for the board this morning.
There's nothing to stop you, if you wish to do so, of actually saying to the board, is the letter there from my solicitor and can it be read by you?
It's the only form of protest I've got. I've been on hunger strike before. They took no notice. They only actually started to take notice was when I started to tip food onto the floor, which is again what I've started to do now.
I went and had a quiet chat with him, and he came out and cleaned up the mess, but on the condition that I will see the welfare officer for him.
And now the Vegan Society have said, yes, I am a member, and they will forward a membership card for me.
For this prisoner, his protest quickly came to an end when the officer reminded him that he was likely to lose his remission, and therefore he would not be out of jail in time to see his favourite singer, Michael Jackson.
Come on, guys, where do you live?
If a number of inmates all decide that they want to do their own thing, it tends to be very difficult to run the prison. Often we can find ourselves in extremely vulnerable positions. Sometimes an inmate won't listen to reason.
What's your problem, Jones? What's your problem, boy?
The media often portray us as thick and caring bastards, ready to put the boot in. But we are professionals, and we do things in a professional way. We are in a volatile situation. Sometimes we have to do things that an ordinary man in the street would walk away from. We don't like it, but we have to do it. We're trained for it, and we do it in a simple, professional manner.
Now, are you going to come out of that cell or not?
In the old days, when we had an inmate who was threatening violence to other people in a cell or to going to injure himself in any shape or form, we used to rush in with a mattress. And I've gone in with a mattress, and somebody's trodden on the bottom of the mattress, and the three of us, or the two of us, have landed on the floor on the mattress. And if you're trying to control an inmate in fits of laughter, and you're all lying on the floor, it's a bit much. So what the department did, they instigated control and restraint.
Jones! Are you coming out? This is your last chance. Now, you've had 3 orders, now use your head.
And every opportunity is given to him to vacate and come out under his own steam. He can walk there. Due to the fact that we haven't had a CNR incident in the time that you've been filming at Swansea, we've decided to reconstruct a situation which is very real to life.
The inmate will be played by an officer. You must remember that this is a reconstruction, but is very similar to the real thing. And basically what CNR is, 3 officers will enter a cell in order to control an inmate. Now, it's legal and it's done in a professional manner.
Fucking twat. How much?
The techniques now used are means of wrist locks and arm locks, which are done in such a way that only the minimum amount of force is used, so that we don't injure the inmate, hopefully, and we don't get staff injured, hopefully.
60, right, nothing's going to happen to you. Just do as you're told. If you want safety, this is happening. Yeah, let's close this here. Set up here, number 1. Right, number 2, bring your lock through. Lock through. Number 3, bring your lock through. Right, I'm going to listen to me now, and only to me. You're going to bring your knees up to your middle.
The locks themselves have been worked out by certain people within the department, and each officer goes through the pain that one experiences with these locks being put on you. Too much force or too much pain on a lock will have an adverse effect to what we want from an inmate. So we're not going to go out to break wrists or arms. We're not in that ball game. We're in the game of restraining this inmate in a controlled fashion so that he can be taken from position A to position B, wherever he's been ordered to go, in a safe manner. Now, as soon as that has been done, he's always seen by the doctor to make sure that no injuries have been received. Obviously, they've got sore wrists. That's how it is. It works that way, but not to the point where they're broken or they've been smashed up to the corner of a cell with a mattress.
Right, now keep calm. Stop your kicking out and nobody's going to get hurt. Right, number 4, off his legs. We're going to take your trousers off now. So bring your knees up. Bring your knees up.
If the governor or the orderly officer or whoever's in charge at that time decides that he goes into strip conditions, then he's taken to O1 landing, where there's a special cell, we call it. He's placed in that cell, and his clothing is removed because they can do an injury to themselves, or they can hang themselves. They can tie them in knots and use them as weapons against the staff. I mean, you know yourself that if you tie a towel into knots and wet it, it's quite a dangerous weapon. We've tried all sorts of techniques to take the clothing off and maintain controlled locks on him. But the best way we've found, and the minimum amount of risk to the inmate, is to cut his clothes off him. And we use a pair of scissors with a bulbous end. So there's a round flat disc on the bottom of the scissors which will run without actually cutting him. When the clothes are cut off, there is a canvas suit for the inmate to put on. This he can't rip and therefore cause any damage to himself by hanging.
And now I am going around to your legs, so keep them quiet, right?
We might have to handle anyone, from someone on a dirt protest who's been living in Scotia, so we are forced to evacuate him and bathe him for his own good, to somebody who's simply gone off his head, a mental patient, for example, and probably should never have been in prison anyway.
Right, number 3, I got you lock. Number 3, clear.
Door clear.
This silly bugger tried to pass goods and got caught. So he's put in a punishment cell in the block to await an adjudication with the governor.
Listen carefully to the charge. You are charged under Rule 47, Paragraph 9. Sells or delivers to any other person, without permission, anything he is allowed to have for his own use. At 1500 hours on 26th of 4th, 88, on YRU2 landing, following an interwing visit, did leave a tissue box containing 162.5 grams of tobacco and sweets, which he had brought with him from A-Wing with the intention of giving to PO7 505 Curtis. Have you had sufficient time to prepare an answer?
Yeah.
How do you plead?
Guilty.
Listen to the evidence of the officer.
Inmate P15731 Howe entered the wing for an interwing visit with PO7 505 Curtis. He was carrying a tissue box and several magazines. When the visit finished, inmate P15731 Howe left the wing, leaving the box and magazines on the table. At no time did inmate Howe make any effort to retrieve the said articles.
Well, so I'm on parole tomorrow. You know, it may be a foolish thing, but I just try to make life easier for the boy, that's all.
In this instance, this stupid son went and did this, knowing full well that he was discharged the next morning and that could jeopardise his discharge date, but he went ahead and did it. Now, the amount of the contraband was very significant, and it could have caused us trouble on this wing. And we're not in the ball game of allowing inmates to have that amount of tobacco to cause even more trouble in this wing, because he would have sold it for something else. It might have been drugs, it might have been anything, and I am not allowing that. And so that's why he was placed on report.
The rules and regulations of the prison. I do not intend to take any further action which will jeopardise your parole and your potential rehabilitation. I, therefore, will be releasing you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Nevertheless, you must be aware that this is considered to be a very serious offence, and in any other circumstances, you would have lost remission and you would indeed have been staying in longer than your normal date of release. I will caution you, the items themselves will be confiscated. Take them away. These items to be confiscated and destroyed as appropriate.
Right, sir.
Lead on workshops. Any more?
In these prisons, there's no toilets and sanitary conditions in the cell. They have to do it in either a bucket, or a lot of them do it in a newspaper and throw it out the windows. Many a time it's either on the wires or on the yards, and obviously for health reasons it's got to be cleaned up every day. And that's the unpleasant part of the job. Other things we look out for is drug-taking implements like biros and bongs, etc. Of course, they're taken into security. Razor blades that are discarded and they're broken up. Obviously, a security risk, we have to pick those up. And other such things that could be used in an escape attempt. Metal bars and various items are picked up.
I found with my experience in this job, you're expected to be a jack of all trades, with eyes in the back of your head. There's a supervisory aspect, a guard if you like, but the job's not just guard duty. We constantly have to assess the prisoner and his attitude, how he fits in with other inmates inside the jail, and how he'd cope when he's released. He's supervised at leisure, on association, at exercise, whilst he's working, whether a cleaner, cook, or if he's in a shop. And we have to get it right, because a man's freedom's at stake when he comes up for his parole.
Mr. Watts? No, Evans from 424. What happens if the same circumstances that cause you to go up to that house and throw a lighted rag? What happens if the same circumstances occur again?
But, like I promised my wife when I got out this time, was that I wouldn't go out without her.
When we deal with cases for parole, part of my function is to make sure that we get as many reports from within the establishment as we can. Then they go to the next grade up to me, principal officer, who will collate the whole lot and produce an overall report, which eventually gets to the parole board and in London, or where the parole board is sitting, the decision is made. As far as I'm concerned, parole is much more trouble than it's worth. It causes a good deal of anxiety in all prisons. More so in long-term prisons, of course, because more people come into the field of parole. If there was a system that widened the half remission, which has recently been introduced for prisoners serving up to 12 months, say they increased it so that prisoners serving up to 3 years would get half remission, it would cut out a lot of the problems, a lot of the anxieties and strains that develop amongst inmates and families.
I don't think that prison works. I think young offenders get quite a bit of treatment. Well, I don't mean treatment I mean treatment, psychological treatment. They get classes, a lot of association, a lot of sport. The classes are meaningful. English, mathematics, computers, that type of thing. When they go onto youth custody centres, they get individual treatment from personal officers who deal with them from the day they come in to the time they go out. Any problems he will deal with, phone call to mum, extra letter, his case is discussed regularly with other members of staff, and he's getting individual treatment. The ideal aim would be that the rest of the prison population would get the same treatment. Unfortunately, it's slightly different. The numbers are killing us. They are killing our chance to rehabilitate these people, inmates in here. It's very difficult. The numbers overpower us. We just can't do anything with it.
We're often at a level of manpower that means there's no room for manoeuvre or whatever. We have the bare minimum staff around. On A-wing, you're talking about 6 officers for up to 150, 160 inmates. So occasionally things are very, very difficult. Everything's done at a rush, and because everything's done at a rush, sometimes the things that matter in terms of inmates get missed. Just down the road. The system is creaking, but I think in general people who do what we do are people who cope and bend and twist things to make the thing work. Certainly there have been occasions where, without the goodwill of everybody involved, the place would have ground to a halt. And I include inmates in that, because if they didn't want to, they could make the system dry up very, very quickly. But because it's a fairly easy-going place, and most of the officers have got fairly good relationships with most of the prisoners, we get on well, and things get done.
Let's do next week, anyway, it might be all right.
No matter, there's no point in us giving you one in advance if you already got one in possession. Is there?
No, I've already sent that one out.
No, you haven't.
I have.
When did it go out?
About 3 weeks ago.
So you'll have 2 VOs outstanding?
Yeah. My brother-in-law's coming in Thursday.
Apply for that VO in advance after Thursday. Okay? We all have to take more responsibility than we used to. I make decisions now that in some cases were made by the governor 6 months ago, and officers take a great deal more responsibility than they ever used to, as do the whole range of ranks. Wrongdoings outside, I'm talking about the bloody rascally things you get up to in here. What have I done there? Was it 2 pounds of corned beef you pinched? Dear me. Talk about the naked city.
Yeah, that was a mistake, wasn't it?
Mistake getting towards. Numbers, please, Mr. Pope. Thank you. I think we're expecting to have a difficult summer. It wouldn't surprise anybody, I don't think, if because of overcrowding and manning restrictions, and we did have problems in the summer.
Inmates have to have regular visits from their families mainly, but also from friends. Remand prisoners are entitled to 15 minutes a day, and convicted prisoners 30 minutes per month. The visits are a great concern to us because it's the main route for drugs and other contraband coming in to the prison, and emotions caused by a visit can create us a lot of problems.
and also a lot of problems for the inmate.
10 months anyway.
But basically what we're looking for is anyone that has a bad visit during the time allocated to them, or drugs problem, alcohol, which can come in any way. Drugs can come in, they use babies bottles with alcohol, anything at all. Even when they kiss goodbye, they can be passed through mouth. I've even known babies being handed over to the father on the way in. The drugs are hidden in the nappy. I've even come across that. But still, many problems occur regarding passing of drugs.
Bennett, come on, boy, Angus. Come on, we got some more waiting.
And there was another boy from the same shop, and they only give him 15 minutes as well.
15 minutes. What's your number?
K15872.
And your name?
Thomas.
Right. Don't get upset about it. I'll check. I'm not in until Wednesday now. I'll check in the books, and if you've had 15 minutes, I'll give you an extra visit. Okay? Tell that other boy to come and see me as well.
Okay.
Before and after visits is sometimes a little stressful. We habitually at Swansea give convicted people as long as they can. So a convicted inmate might expect about an hour if the visiting room is slack. On those occasions where we've had to say, well, look, we can't give you an hour today because there's so many people wanting to come in, you're going to have 35 or 40 minutes. And they come over here full of frustration because they're just in the middle of a particularly stressful part of their conversation with the wife or the girlfriend or so. And some officer comes and says, well, that's it, back to the wing. And sometimes we have difficulties in those sort of occasions. One of the concerns of prison officers is the possibility of suicide. We have dealing in the main with a section of the population that have a higher incidence of suicide than the normal cross-section of the population. And we constantly are on the lookout for indications that somebody is sufficiently emotional or distraught and is going to do something. One of the great advantages to us censoring mail, and there's a lot of pressure on the Home Office to stop censoring mail, is if somebody is going to be given some bad news, and we have an advance warning of it, and can take some sort of action to minimise the effect of bad news and so on. Most officers are fairly observant and fairly well aware of the problems that people encounter. We've got a small number of officers to cover the wing, but that means that they all know the prisoners pretty well.
The problem with suicides is it's very difficult to sort of say that guy is going to commit a suicide. He's going to commit suicide. He'll get into his head, he can mull it over, a letter, a dear John, a visit, anything can just switch him into a mode where he's going to do it. And we just haven't got the staff for one member of staff to stand outside a cell for 24 hours a day, or wherever he is, in a workshop, mainly at night. These are when they do tend to commit suicide. To have an officer outside a cell, standing, looking through a Judas hole, invading his privacy to make sure he doesn't commit suicide. We just haven't got the manpower. The only hope we've got is that an officer, an inmate will tell us, you want to watch Jones, he's depressed, he's had a bad visit, and I think he's going to do something. Then obviously we instigate a very, very strict watch on him. You'd think when coming on tonight that it would be simple because most of the inmates, or all the inmates, are banged away behind their doors. There's a minimum staff on duty, and no matter how careful we are, problems can occur with prisoners being banged up for such a long time. During the day, their time is occupied, but during the night, they've got time to think about their sentence, their families, and their own situation.
The chaplain contacted his mother, and his mother told the chaplain that his wife had buggered off with everything. And his mother, her mother, hadn't seen the doctor for about 3 or 4 weeks.
How do you take that then?
Well, he's still pretty fair. He's pretty solid.
So
You know he is. He's the
Who's he with? Is he with anybody?
He's in a
He's on his
single
own?
cell. But it's worth keeping an eye on.
Yes.
Otherwise, nothing else to unload you. There's your locations for the evening.
That's
And
all
up to
up to
date.
date,
I've
is
checked
it?
that, all right?
Good, good.
And that's about it, Mike.
All books signed, are they?
All the books are signed,
books
Mike.
signed.
All the books are signed.
That's fine. Okay then, bye.
And I'll bid you a good night, boy.
See you in the morning. Right, okay.
Right. That's it, Mike.
All the best, bud. See you then.
Bye,
Bye.
How long have you been up there, Footy?
Hey, fuck knows, I don't know, I just woke up.
Pop his up, pop his up.
That's it, go on.
That's it. Good boy.
Right, well done, boy. Go on, Simon.
Pop his up, pop his up.
Go on, Simon.
Spit it up, come on.
Come on, Simon, get up.
Leave him.
Tell him on his side or something, he's going to choke.
Try some of these.
He's going to choke.
He's all right there.
Go on.
He's on.
Go on, he's going. He's going.
Right, pump him again, Footy. And again.
Hang on.
Leave him.
Are you all right there now? Yeah, I'll let you.
How was the best of Footy now?
I fucking know.
What did you just hear the chair, didn't you?
The chair went over, yeah.
Right, come on. What's in there? Come on, son.
Simon.
Simon, come on.
Simon.
He's okay. He's good.
I tried to lift him up and the thing broke.
All right. That's okay. Hold on, Footy. He's okay.
You all right?
Fondy, all right? Simon? You okay? Come on, open your eyes then. Come on, talk to me. Put all that shit out of your mouth.
Spit it out.
Get it up. That's it. Get it up. Come on, get it up. That's it. Let's clear the mouth. Come on.
I've got a doctor on you.
Yeah, he's on his way. All right. Come on. You okay now? Come on and talk to me then. Simon. Come on, spit that stuff with your mouth. Yeah? Come on then. Get all the muck out. That's it. Come on. Come on, talk to me. Yeah, you're good. He's coming.
Yes. I've ordered a thing behind us.
Some water, please. There's some water. It's checking. All right. Good lad. Come on then. Give you some water now with it. Spit on them back out and clean them out.
Drink of water. Yeah? Yeah. Yeah. Alright, alright.
That's it, spit it out. Good lad.
Yeah.
Good lad.
You alright?
Yeah, shocking.
No, give yourself a bit of fresh air.
Look at the TV.
She's going to be alright. Yeah,
I don't know, I just heard a noise. I woke up and I'm facing that window and I could see something in front of the window. I put the light on and I saw him just hanging there choking. I picked him up, well I tried to pick him up and whatever it was he was hanging on just broke. I got him on the bed and got it away from his throat. And then the officers came in.
Well, a cell bell went and I answered the cell bell and I could see that one of the inmates tried to hang himself. I sounded the alarm, asked for assistance, ordered the officer to unlock the door. Went in, found that his cellmate had cut him down, laid him on the bed and just administered mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. And luckily enough, he revived. Sorry? Well, I don't know, it's hard to say, but obviously the heart massage and the mouth-to-mouth resuscitation brought him back, or brought him round anyway. And he's another lad that's lucky to be alive. What was the trouble? You have some bad news today, isn't it? Yeah? Did you obviously woke up and...
Kicked me shoulder.
Yeah, what do you have on his neck?
It's outside, Doctor.
It's outside, a piece of sheep.
Is it all right? All right, cool. It's really thick stuff, right? Okay. What is it? Neck's all right. How's the breathing now? Is it okay?
All right.
Yeah? Okay. Fair enough. Do you want to come over to the hospital now?
I didn't want to be left alone. Mike?
Is in.
It's okay.
No need?
No.
You phone me when you need the doctors just...
You want to? Yes, we're getting there, yes. Can you just in and out through the mouth, man? Breathe in and out through the mouth, man. And again. Okay. Okay, fine. Right, do you know what happened today? What he had?
There's a letter here somebody just had a look at.
You had some really bad news today, was it? It came in today, was it? Earlier today?
I just hope everything I ever had.
Yeah, what was that?
The girlfriend of my sister.
What happened to your sister?
It's hard to explain.
Oh, okay. But you only found out today, was it? Nobody knew about that except you, was it?
It just came in a letter.
Right. And where's your girlfriend now?
Bit Wells.
And that's where you were, is it? Before you came here?
Yeah.
Okay. And what about your sister?
Well, started when I was younger, my whole family split up.
Right.
January this year, I actually got back in contact with my sister.
Yeah.
Then I gets arrested for these charges, and my co-defendant gets out on Friday.
On bail?
No, he got dealt with.
Right. So he didn't get long, right?
No, he got probation.
Right.
And then he goes and sees my girlfriend.
Yes.
Tells my girlfriend to stack of lies, and she's finishing with me. And my sister's turned her back on me now again.
Because of what he said?
Yeah, I got nothing left.
Well, you're going to explain all this, aren't you, to them?
They won't listen to me.
Yes, they will. Yeah. And why didn't you get dealt with?
Because I'm going not guilty. I didn't do it.
I see. Well, that's fair enough. He pleaded guilty and got probation.
Yeah.
And you pleaded not guilty. That's fair enough. What's the charge?
Theft of a car and reckless driving.
Right. Were you caught with the car, though?
No.
Nothing to do with you?
No. He just said I was there.
That's the evidence against you, is it?
Yeah.
And is he holding that evidence?
Yeah, he's going to court.
To give evidence? I see. Have you got any proof?
No, I was hiking to Cardiff.
Do you know him?
Yeah, I knew him from Landon.
Right, okay. And when is the case going to be heard, your case?
I don't know.
At the time, you know, you just do what you train for, normal reaction, and hope that you can save his life. After you feel a bit plain, but that's it. That's part of your job. You've got to do it.